Okay. So in the review, in the grade 9 review, what do we focus on? Yep. Slopes, lines, right? Graphing lines. Okay. Last chapter we did solving for the intersection point with lines, and now this chapter more lines. And we are going to come up with the equation of lines. Okay, that's the purpose of this chapter. Okay, so what do you think midpoint of a line segment mean? Yeah.
The middle of the line segment.
Yeah, basically that's it. The middle, right? Notice that's midpoint, and so we are still looking for the point. We're looking for the point right in the middle. Okay, that's what midpoint is basically. A line segment is a line that has endpoints. So this one, if I give you a vertical line, okay, nice and easy vertical line on a graph with these endpoints right here, what would my midpoint be? Yep. 1, 0. Excellent. And notice Pratik gave me the answer in coordinate form. And that's because it's a point. Remember, midpoint is a point. So it should be in, Catherine? It should be in point form. Okay. There's 2 pages actually. One more. Don't take his.
Yes, extras.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I found it.
You found it? Yeah? Okay. This one, what if I give you a horizontal line? Same thing, horizontal line with on a graph. And then you can easily read. You can easily read it off right here. This is the middle. And what's my answer in this case? Paul?
3, 2.
3, 2. Good. Okay. Remember, x always comes before y, so it's your x value first, and then y value, so 3, 2. Okay. But what if I give you a line that is like this, and it's a diagonal line, and in the middle is like somewhere over here. Okay. It's going to be hard to see, and so that's why we have a formula. Okay. x1 plus x2 divided by 2. What does that remind you of? Just this part right here, x1 plus x2 divided by 2.
The slope.
Not slope, but like if you add 2 numbers together and then divide it by 2, average. Good job. So that's exactly what you're doing. You're taking the x value of these 2 points, dividing it by 2 to find the average. And then you're taking the y value, dividing it by 2 to get the average. Do you need to memorize this formula for the test?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. You're so smart. How did you know? Yes. So, although I think I'm nice, but not that nice, you do have to memorize this. So circle it, highlight it, bubble it, something so that you remember it. This is often the very first step that you have to do. So if you memorize it wrong, it means your first step is wrong. And then everything else is going to be wrong. So make sure you don't mix up the formula. All right, so let's try with these numbers right here. Let's say this is x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay, now plugging in the numbers. Okay, notice I use capital M for midpoint. What do we use lowercase m for? Slope. Right. So out of the 26 alphabet, they decided to use 2 same letter to represent 2 different things. Okay. So make sure you don't make that mistake. Lowercase m is for slope. Uppercase m is for midpoint. Okay. So let's sub in the numbers. So x1 plus x2. 2 plus 8 divided by 2. And then the second one, 3 plus 7 divided by 2. Notice I wrote it in coordinate form because, again, your midpoint is a point. So 2 plus 8, 10. 10 divided by 2, you get 5. 3 plus 7, 10 divided by 2, you also get 5. So my answer the midpoint between D, A, and B is 5, 5. Okay. Let's, I want you guys to try this one. Example 1B. Okay, take 30 seconds, try this one. Okay, who has the midpoint? Yep, oh, 3/2 and 1/2. Perfect. Okay. Do I need to change this to a decimal? No, keep it as a fraction. All right, keep it as a fraction like this. When should I change it to a decimal? If I wanted to. Right. So if I were to graph this, I could change it to a decimal just for visualizing it easier. Okay, but keep it as a fraction as your final answer. If I were to graph this, then I can say, okay, this is 1.5 and 0.5. So it's a little easier to visualize. Okay. Okay, so that was example 1. Notice on the back, it says example 3. Yeah, so the photocopier decided to skip a page, and so that's why you have the other page that says example 2. Right, so if you can go to the other page first, where it says example 2. Okay, good. Okay, example 2 first. So median. A median is the line joining the vertex of a triangle to the midpoint of the opposite side. So in this case, this point is the midpoint, and this is the opposite vertex. Right? Similarly, I have a midpoint on this side and the opposite vertex, midpoint on this side and the opposite vertex. So in a triangle, how many medians are there? Yep, 3. Right. Every triangle has 3 median. And so you need to read the question carefully to know which median I'm asking on the test. Because otherwise you could do every single step correct, but you gave me the total wrong answer because that was not the line I was looking for. So make sure you read it carefully. So just like example 2, determine the equation of the median shown. I could also rewrite this and say determine the equation of the median from vertex R. Okay, if I say from vertex R, that means I'm gonna go from this corner to the opposite midpoint. So that's how I know which median I'm talking about. Okay. So I want to find the equation of this red line right here. Can you guys see the red? Here, I'll highlight it. This right here. Okay, that's the equation of this line. I'm trying to find the equation of this line. Okay, so first I have to try to figure out the midpoint of PQ first. Okay, I need to find out what this point is right here. So I need to find the midpoint. And we know what to do because we just did 2 examples of finding the midpoint. Someone tell me what to plug in. I'm trying to find this point right here. So what are the points that I'm going to sub in? Yeah.
I think me and Daniel have this sheet.
It's the second page. You only got 1 page?
Yeah, that's we have 1 page.
Oh. Okay. You only have 1 page? Pratik, did you miss this side of?
I gave them both. I'm just giving them the other pages.
Which page do you?
Example 1, example 3.
Okay. Who doesn't have this page?
I didn't find that one sheet.
You got the speech. Everybody else has 2 sheets. You finished. So one answer is done. So you do one answer. No, one answer. Okay. So give me a second. Okay. So Ryan, if you can just give me 2 minutes to finish up this one, and then I'll grab it for you. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So what numbers do I plug in here? Now that everybody has the sheet. Yep. Arian?
The equation is x2 plus x1 over 2, comma y2 plus y1 over 2. So you first input, let's say 1 plus negative 5 over 2, comma 1 plus 1 over 2.
Perfect. Okay. So what Arian did is he used these 2 endpoints. Okay, because you're looking for the midpoint between these 2. So when you plug it in, you get these. And so my midpoint is negative 1 plus negative 5, negative 4. Negative 4 divided by 2, negative 2. 5 plus 1 is 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Okay. Even if I don't give you a graph, it does help if you do a quick little sketch so that you can see negative 2, 3. Yep, that looks about right. If I say, let's say I made a mistake, I missed the negative sign, I got 2, 3. 2, 3 brings me over here, like nowhere near the line segment. So it's helpful to do a little sketch just to make sure that it is correct. Okay, find the slope of TR. So now that I know this point, I can use these 2 endpoints to find the slope. Remember slope formula? y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, so using point T and R, can you guys try to find the slope first? Well, I look for the sheet for you. Okay, there we go. I knew I had it somewhere. Okay, here you go, Ryan. Okay, so using the point T and R, these 2 points. So I have this midpoint was negative 2 and 3. Okay, so using these 2 points, I have negative 3 minus 3 over 3 minus negative 2. Okay, so negative 3 minus 3, and then 3 minus negative 2. So I get negative 6 over 5. Okay. And looking at this line again, I can verify that I'm probably right because the line does go this way. So I should get a negative slope, and I did get a negative slope. All right. So, okay, so now I'm going to use y equals mx plus b to find the y-intercept. What point? So I have this slope right here. What point should I use to find the y-intercept? Which point do I have to use? Or which points? What are my options?
T or I don't know.
R. Yeah, so either this point or this point, because those are the only 2 points that are on this highlighted line. Okay, so I'm going to use this one because this one is given. So y is negative 3. Slope is negative 6 over 5. X is 3 plus b. Okay, so negative 3 equals negative 18 over 5. Move that over. Negative 3 plus 18 over 5. So negative 15 plus 18. So when you simplify it and add the numerators together, you get 3 over 5. Right? I have my slope. I have my y-intercept. So what is my final answer? Y equal? Yeah. Javon? Good job. Thank you. Okay. So looking at step 2 to step 4 right here. Finding the slope, finding the y-intercept, putting it together. Is this new or we've been doing it for the last few weeks?
And last few years.
And last few years as well. Good. Yeah, since grade 9. So all this right here, these 3 steps are not new. Only thing that's new is now you're using the midpoint. You have to first do this first step. So not too hard, but you do. But I do find out if you draw a diagram, it does help you visualize easier which point you have to use. As I said, like the steps are not hard. What's hard is making sure you don't use the wrong point. All right. Back to the page 1. This page right here, example 3. It's the last example. All right. I see a lot of you guys are working on the homework already. I want you guys to pay attention to this last example. All right. All right. So if you're sidetracked, let's refocus. Okay. Right bisector. A right bisector is a line that cuts another line into 2 equal parts at a right angle. So what is this point in particular? What is point E? If you were to describe this point, what would you say this point is? Yeah.
Midpoint of AC.
Midpoint of AC. That's right. I can tell it's the midpoint because there's these ticks right here. That tells me those 2 lines are equal. So that means this is my midpoint. Now notice I don't go to the point B. If I go to point B, this red line is the median. And if I do at a 90-degree angle, draw a straight line up, this is called my right bisector. So you need to know the difference between these 2 lines. And again, on the test, I will ask you to find the equation of a median. I will ask you guys to find the equation of a right bisector. So you need to know which one I'm referring to. Okay. Example 3, determine an equation for the right bisector of a line segment with endpoints D and M. Okay, so negative 3 and 5. Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 7, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Alright, I'm gonna come around after the lesson to check to see if you copy this down. Alright. Because I got my grade 10 credit already. You guys need to. So I feel like I was talking to myself. Right. So first step, I want to figure out the midpoint of these 2 points right here. So M equal. Using the formula. Hey, can somebody help me plug in these endpoints? Plug in these numbers. Kelly? Can you plug in the numbers into the formula for me? So x1 plus x2 divided by 2?
So it was negative 3
Mm-hmm.
plus
Good.
divided by 2.
And then the others?
5 plus negative 9. You can write brackets.
Sure.
And then over 2.
Good. Okay, so when you let's just say, so okay, let's say I got this. Let's say I got this as my answer. And then I look at my line, negative 2 and 2 brings me over here. Okay. Does that look wrong? Very wrong, yeah. Okay, and that's because it's not even on the line. My midpoint should be the middle of that line. So if I get this answer, it looks nice, but when I plot it, it's not nice. Then that means I should probably check my math to see where I made a mistake. Negative 3 plus 7 is positive 4. Positive 4 divided by 2, you get positive 2. 5 minus 9 is negative 4. Negative 4 divided by 2, you get negative 2. So when I plot it here now, I get over here, which is a lot nicer. Okay? So just because you get a nice number doesn't mean it has to be right. Okay, now find the slope of this line. Okay, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So using these 2 points, negative 9 minus 5 over 7 minus negative 3. Negative 14 over 10. So when I reduce it, I get negative 7 over 5. Okay. So what's the difference between this step 3 and the step 3 that we did in the example 2? Yep.
It's perpendicular.
Yeah. So now I'm not going to use that slope to find my equation. I'm actually looking for, so I'm not looking for that red line. I'm looking for the equation of this line right here, a perpendicular line. Okay, so the word perpendicular, as soon as you hear that word, it should be like automatic now that you associate it with slope, perpendicular slope. So if I know that the red line has a slope of negative 7 over 5, how do I find the slope of the highlighted line? Kelly?
Because this perpendicular, it's the negative reciprocal.
Perfect. Negative reciprocal. And so what is my reciprocal? How do you so what is the slope now then? If the red line has a slope of negative 7 over 5, the highlighted line will have a slope of
5 over 7.
5 over 7 and positive 5 over 7. Good, because it's negative, now it's positive. 7 over 5, now it's 5 over 7. Good job. So I'm going to use this slope, and I'm going to use a point to find the equation of this black line. Which point do I have to use? Which point do I have to use for the last step, Frank? The midpoint, that's right. Good job. I have to use this because that's the only point I know that's on this black line. So I have to use this one and the slope. So negative 2 equals 5 over 7 times positive 2 plus 3. So negative 2 equals 14 over 7. When I move it over, so negative 14 minus, did I make a mistake? Oh, yes, 10. Ugh. Sorry. Yeah. 2 times 5 is 10, not 14. So when I move this over, I get this. So B is negative 24 over 7. I have my slope, I have my y-intercept, therefore the equation of the line is final answer? Kelly?
Y equals 5 over 7 minus 24.
Okay. And if I want to verify if the line is correct, negative 24 over 7 is negative 24 divided by 7, negative 3.5 with a positive slope. So looking at this line right here, we're looking for the equation of this line. Negative 3.5 with a positive slope. I think my answer is pretty right. Looks good to me. All right, and so that's why I can feel confident with this answer. All right, last thing I want to go over this. Okay. I drew a whole bunch of triangles. You guys tell me which line the red line represent. You guys can shout it out. The red line here is the median. And so I want to find the slope of this line. What about this one? Median or right bisector?
That triangle looks a little suspicious.
It's suspicious, but I didn't draw anything to tell you that it's a right bisector. So it's a median, yes. All I said right here, based on the information I gave you, is that it's the midpoint and that's the vertice. So you can't say it looks like a right bisector. So it's a median. What about this one then? Right bisector, because I have this 90-degree symbol. And so which slope am I looking for? I need to first find this slope. Okay? Because I can't find this slope. I only know one point. So that means I have to find that slope. What about this one right here then? Is this a median or right bisector? Nice and loud? Both. That's right. It's go from the midpoint to the vertice. And I also gave you the symbol, the 90-degree symbol. And so it's actually both. And it can be both. Okay, this one? Median or right bisector? Right bisector. And so I want to find the slope of this line. And then last one right here, median or right bisector? Right bisector. And I'm looking for the slope of this line. Alright, so I wanted to make sure you guys know the difference between median and right bisector. Otherwise, you will not know what the test question is asking you. Alright? And if it's the right bisector, I have to give you this 90-degree symbol. Okay, so that's the lesson. 28 minutes. So I finished the lesson within half an hour. Now you guys can work on these questions right here. You guys can use the rest of the class time to work on these. I do have 2 challenge questions right here for those who finish these and want a challenge. Okay, so do try these out. All right, so bare minimum, do 1D, 2C, 4, 8, 14, and 16, bare minimum. All right.